Every few months I see a slew of articles about a Knights of the Old Republic sequel or reboot supposedly being in production. Now, usually these are rumors that fall through almost instantly, but this most recent wave of them seems a bit more real. At least like there could be some semblance of credibility and potential. The primary rumor is that the new KOTOR game will be a reboot, retelling the story for the new canon. Personally, I think this is the best possibility. It doesn't undo the existing two games in any way. It can be something interesting or new, and if it's too different, well, it's a new game, so who cares? There's also the rumor that it's going to be a sequel to the original two games. This one worries me a bit more, because by being a sequel, it has to more directly follow in the footsteps of the legacy of a beloved video game franchise that I'm not sure can be done. It's not impossible, but who knows? Now this news has sent me through the 3 stages of hype, not unlike the 5 stages of grief. And I want to walk you through the hype train that this news has sent me personally through, even though in a few months we'll find out that this news was yet another rumor. Because it always is. Knights of the Old Republic was the first RPG game I ever played. It was immensely influential to me in how I thought about video games and what I wanted out of them, and it introduced me to a whole new world of ideas you can explore in a medium that I was totally immersed in at the time, and still am. Sort of. Having some kind of personal agency in a video game at the time was insane to me. To have an influence on the world around me in a video game simply wasn't something I thought possible. And sure, there are a lot of RPGs still being made, so if I really wanted to, I could play a slew of other games that give me a similar feeling, but to have that agency and influence in the Star Wars universe is something that's only really happened, what, 2 times? 3 if you count the MMO? So, to make a new game, remake, or sequel in the same vein would really scratch an itch for me and for Star Wars fans that has not been scratched in, well, too long. Oh yeah. Plus, the current state of Star Wars games is not what it was when the KOTOR games were first coming out. Back in the early 2000s, we had dozens and dozens of Star Wars games that ranged from decent games that felt valuable because of who we played them with, and a large amount of games that have stood the test of time and are classics to this day. But since the Disney buyout, we have had 5 Star Wars video games, not including mobile games. That's 5 in 5 years. For comparison, there were 3 Star Wars games released in 1999, 4 released in 2005, and 6 released in 2002. The early 2000s truly were a Star Wars video game renaissance. Maybe a new KOTOR game could jumpstart a second. Maybe. At the very least, it would give us something new in the Star Wars canon that isn't just exploring the same 20-year period between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, because, come on, hasn't that been done enough? Because the Skywalker saga is done. The Star Wars universe can and should be something more than just that and the little in-between bits from the same time period. I know it's a little counterintuitive when talking about a new KOTOR game, but can't we escape the nostalgia for a bit? We've really loaded up on Star Wars nostalgia the past few years, specifically nostalgia for the original 3 films. Let's get the creative juices a-flowing. Let's have something new set in the Star Wars universe that isn't just stormtroopers, Death Stars, Skywalkers, Han Solo. Let's get something a little more new and interesting. But that's all we've been getting lately. It doesn't feel like enough people making Star Wars media are all that interested in growing and evolving it into something else. Which brings me to stage 2. I don't know, man. There seems to be this slight obsession with micromanaging the Star Wars canon a little right now, making sure all the pieces fit together, and I get that, it's great, it's fun, but with the amount of Star Wars media coming out right now between the games, the movies, the books, the comics, the TV shows, there is no doubt going to be a collapse of all that. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the expanded universe, and in a lot of ways I'm glad it's not canon anymore, but what I sort of loved about it is that it never really was, no matter how much you loved it. The expanded universe was this incredibly flexible hellscape of nonsense that never really fit together and seldom enriched the source material, that it was easy to be like, oh, this part of it is good, I like this, I choose to include this in my Star Wars, and oh wow, this is ridiculous and stupid and a nightmare, and it's expanded universe, so it's not like it matters anyway, so let's just ignore that. I mean, is it such a shame that Splinter of the Mind's Eye is sold with a yellow stripe on it that says Legends? Is that what's wrong with Star Wars right now? Nonetheless, KOTOR was made way back in 2003 as a way of escaping the narrative of Star Wars without betraying the universe that Star Wars fans loved so much. BioWare opted to create a story set thousands of years before the films instead of making an Attack of the Clones tie-in game because it seemed like there was much more creative and narrative freedom there and the option to say something new. There was a singular vision that many people worked on in KOTOR, and it resulted in compelling storytelling, an interesting world whether you're playing it for being Star Wars or not, and characters you were interested in without them being a Kenobi or a Palpatine or a Skywalker. At the end of the day, that's not what was important in telling a new or old chapter of Star Wars. And I'm not certain with the way Star Wars media and canon is micromanaged now that you can have that singular vision anymore. Maybe it's good Star Wars games aren't what they used to be, for that reason. The new Battlefront games are a lot of fun. I haven't played the story mode, but what I've played of it, I think a lot of the fun I've had is because it's not too tied down to a narrative, it's just purely gameplay. The gameplay of this potential new KOTOR game is also not a topic I'm terribly confident about. As I said, the original KOTOR informed my taste in video games, and the kind of game it is just does not exist anymore. I'm not talking about the RPG elements, I'm talking about the elements that are now seen as clunky and outdated, the real-time turn-based combat, that many quests are mostly driven by dialogue rather than combat, the party system, the sort of weird at times locked movement. There are so few games that play the way KOTOR does, and what I truly adore about KOTOR is exactly that. Now don't get me wrong, I ended up loving the stories and characters presented in these original games, but I'll be honest, what kept me engaged was the gameplay. The way it can be tense without being frustrating or giving me an anxiety attack, the sense of exploration without the fear of becoming truly lost in the environments, the ability to strategize how you're going to tackle obstacles by relying on your character's Jedi agility instead of having to rely on your shitty human reflexes by pulling the right triggers at the right times. They're games where character building for the player character and your party members feels more integral to your ability to progress. You have to be smarter, you have to be strategic. I want the new game to be KOTOR, but it'll probably be just a watered down Borderlands with a Star Wars makeover. Or maybe Fallout. Huh. KOTOR was an easy game for me to get into as a kid because it was Star Wars. Other RPGs I've struggled to become immersed and interested in exploring the world and learning about it. It just feels like I need to be invested from minute one, and cutscenes and exposition don't make that work for me. Recently, I finally started playing Fallout 3 for real, not just picking it up and giving up on it when I get confused or lost. I'm actively investing myself because I want to work through 3, New Vegas, and 4, and understand why everyone goes crazy for them. So I'm working on investing myself from minute 1. The thing I realized early on in exploring the Wasteland is a new KOTOR game that plays like this would be heaven. I think I want it to be a reboot, a clean slate so that a difference in gameplay doesn't seem like a strange leap. But the way you communicate with NPCs, the importance on character building, the VAT system being a low-key, real-time turn-based combat situation without betraying the feeling of a first-person shooter, that's all perfect for the kind of game KOTOR can be. And you know, I've spent a lot of time on the Star Wars Battlefront subreddit, and if there's one thing I've noticed, it's that the developers and community managers at EA making the Star Wars games are attuned to the fans' desires, requests, and feedback. For better and for worse, don't get me wrong, but it's clear that they are listening and won't stray so far from what is beloved about the old games, but are willing to experiment and give people something new that they didn't know they wanted. And that's key. Even in the confines of a micromanaged Star Wars canon, that kind of experimentation and willingness to do something interesting with limited resources. Now, those limited resources are from story executives instead of gameplay limitations, can open up a door for a narrative freedom that can be a singular vision, even if in a bit of a different way. I guess what I'm trying to say here is, this game might not happen, but it might, and it's important to keep an open mind and let it be something new even if it's catering to something old. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I hope you liked it. This is weird. I'll be making more videos soon like this, hopefully. It's been quite a while since I've done anything like this, or at all. So there'll be more of all sorts of videos. Hopefully you like them. There's some more videos on my channel. You can subscribe if you want, or check out the other videos. There's probably links on the screen. I think that's how this works. Bye. So old. Love you.